even if you pay for the NFL app, you can only access like VOD content because the live broadcast of the NFL is licensed to linear TV.
They're willing to fight this on possibly a region by region or country by country battle when it comes to where stuff is hosted, seen, etc.
Let's talk a little bit then to start the show with the topic that we keep circling back to, because I think it's been quite relevant, Scott, because of so many of our sort of Twitch streamers forcibly putting it into the spotlight, right? We know now from Disguised Toast that he was trying to get this conversation started at high level. So let's talk once more, Scott, about DMCA.
Oh boy, this time YouTuber, so not a live stream situation, but a very popular YouTuber gets hit with, and I quote, ungodly number of anime copyright strikes. But here's where it gets positive, gets a win for everyone. And you're like, what the hell? What do you mean by that? Well, this is where it gets really, really interesting, Mitch. So this gentleman is a review YouTuber, so he's making all sorts of review content about anime series, episodes, etc. It sounds very, very fair usage, right? Little segments here and there as he talks about the anime, not reacting content where he's just watching the show and, occasionally talking. So where it gets kind of interesting is he gets struck 100+ times for all his content. And then it wipes his channel, basically, right? It goes from just strike, we're going to take the monetization option away from you. Your content stays on your channel, which you can still survive, to then those strikes escalated to, you know what, we're actually going to nail you on this. It's 100 and some odd strikes. That kills your channel.
150 odd.
150 odd.
The Toei Animation escalated their initial claim. So it was a strike at first, and then they issued full-blown takedown notices for a huge amount of this guy's content. And now for them to be removed, that's basically the channel gone. Like that is probably his YouTube career finished. This is obviously, if you love anime, you watch anime, you know who Toei Animation is. It's one of the bigger companies here. So this is an example of a company with their idea of what fair use constitutes. But this is where it gets complicated, Scott, is because they're based in Japan. Japan has different fair use, and it's quoted in a Kotaku article, sort of less robust sort of fair use definitions in Japan. So they obviously operating under the Japanese definition of fair use has gone after this guy. Now, I have to wonder what precipitates this, whether it's the sheer amount of content or perhaps, Totally Not Mark is not exactly giving a gushing review of some of their anime. Who knows? Obviously, this is not a gaming content creator we're specifically talking about, but it's relevant. So they go to YouTube. YouTube, though, Scott, we call it a win, quote unquote, because it's an example of YouTube pushing back. Mm-hmm. It's not that they said, no, we won't. Well, they said they wouldn't uphold the takedown notice, so to speak. YouTube have the ability to actually prevent you from seeing someone's content based on your locale. So they were just like, yeah, well, we can just, prevent it from being seen in Japan where your fair use laws are relevant. And maybe they would cause a takedown to be justified. But in other regions like North America and stuff, that this wouldn't be upheld. This is, I suppose it's interesting because Toei are choosing to go after this guy for reviewing their anime when Disguised Toast is literally sat there watching a whole fucking series of Naruto, watching a whole ton of Death Note, and he's not reviewing the anime outside of the typical fucking collection of gamer grunts and fucking reactions. So very curious to see that this is where the copyright battle actually happens, and YouTube already have this policy in place to sort of smooth things out. Because Scott, this guy was playing phone tag. It was him. It was Toei Animation's Japanese office. It was YouTube's Japanese office. It was YouTube's America's office. It was probably his representation as well. An absolute mess when you're trying to deal with these things internationally.
Yeah, and I think the can of worms that I guess YouTube has opened for the greater good of possibly their content creators is that they're willing to fight this on possibly a region by region or country by country battle when it comes to where stuff is hosted, seen, etc. As you said, Japan, fair use non-existent as a term legally, so to speak. So they have the iron will to knock Nintendo notoriously defends their stuff, their IP, whenever they can. So, but YouTube saying, you know what, we'll abide by your laws there, but at the same token, we're going to abide by the U.S. law and keep the shit on over here, is a great thing for content creators. But it's making YouTube's policing and their content and ID system, like, once you start doing that, do you have to really do that? Or is it going to be a squeaky wheel, a big guy like this, lots of strikes, or are they setting policy, I guess, that they're going to look at all this on a region by region, law by law basis versus a global? Twitch could never really do that, I don't think. While they have different servers where they might host a live stream, can they geo lock something live? And you could be watching it live in Germany on Twitch, but if I tried to tune in, I couldn't. I wonder if they have that ability too.
I mean, look, you probably could do that. This technology exists on a smaller scale. Like, a good example is like trying to watch the NFL.
Oh yeah, sure. Regular TV does it all the time.
If you have like the NFL app or whatever, you can actually watch NFL if you're international. And I don't think you have to, but yeah, on the NFL app. But here, even if you pay for the NFL app, you can only access like VOD content because the live broadcast of the NFL is licensed to linear TV and direct TV and stuff like that.
Yep.
So if you're in America and you have if you're paying for like an NFL app subscription, you can't watch the fucking games. You have to VPN to sort of watch them, I think.
Very interesting.
Look, does Twitch have this like enacted? I don't know. They're probably going to have to do it though, as we start to get like, the international sort of entities that start to, perk up a little bit about fair use, because gaming's going to keep getting bigger. This platform is probably going to keep getting bigger. What I want to see what happens is when an American corporation targets an American streamer on an American platform, I want to see what happens there, because we don't have to fucking extradite our laws or anything like that. It's going to be much more of a contained scenario.
Yep.
But that doesn't seem to be happening.
No.
They still don't really seem to give a fuck, Scott.
No, and again, maybe they see it as it's not worth the battles and that extra shine, oh, well, they wouldn't have known about Gordon Ramsay if they wouldn't have watched all those Master Chefs. Maybe they're still thinking it's too... music used to not care about the internet till they really cared about the internet, right? Music rights and...
Yeah, I mean, until Lars Ulrich said, hang on, my piece of the pie is getting eat up by all you fucking gremlins on Napster.
We'll see when they start caring about Twitch. So very, very interesting. And again, I think kudos on YouTube for willing to go to bat for that guy, and again, kind of draw some new definitions in the sense of being able to appease both sides. In Japan, turned off. Everywhere else where it's fair use, still legal, still viewable. We'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, I think they're opening the can of worms. But maybe it's a good can of worms in that sense.